The rain tapped gently against the wide front windows of Luna's diner, casting rippling shadows on the checkered floor. The city outside was gray, tired, and impatient. Inside, however, warm yellow lights painted a different story. Of comfort, of routine, and of people holding their lives together one cup of coffee at a time. Behind the counter, Neera moved with practiced grace. Her ponytail bounced as she walked, her notepad tucked into her apron, and her shoes squeaked faintly on the linoleum floor. At just 24, she had seen enough of life to lose her wide-eyed dreams, but not enough to stop hoping quietly when no one was looking. Luna's wasn't a fancy place. It was barely holding on, but it gave Neera a sense of stability, even if her life outside was anything but. Her mother was battling illness back home. Bills were piling. Her nursing school application sat unfinished in a drawer. But for now, she poured coffee and offered tired smiles to tired people. She was wiping down table 9, the last one near the corner window, when she noticed him. He had come in just before the storm, tall, lean, in a black hoodie that dripped rain onto the floor. He didn't speak much, just nodded when she asked if he wanted coffee, then sank into the booth like someone trying to disappear. Neera had seen all kinds of people come and go, truckers, musicians, heartbroken lovers. But there was something about him, something quiet, broken, or maybe just worn thin. An hour passed. The diner emptied out. Now it was just him and the sound of the storm. She walked over to check on him, her voice soft. "Hey, you okay?" "We're about to close soon." He didn't respond. "Sir?" Still nothing. She stepped closer and saw the tremble in his hands, the way his head leaned forward too far, like it was too heavy to hold. His skin, pale, his lips, dry. There was "Something terribly wrong. Hey, can you hear me?" Her voice sharpened. Nothing. Neera's instincts took over. She slid into the booth beside him, reaching for his wrist. His pulse was erratic, too slow. She looked into his half-lidded eyes and saw fear, and something else. Resignation. "No." No, she whispered, grabbing her phone and dialing 911 with shaky fingers. "I've got a man here at Luna's diner. He's not responsive, breathing shallow." Then, suddenly, his body leaned too far, collapsing against her. "Hang on, don't you dare give up." She eased him down onto the floor, gently but urgently, brushing aside napkins and silverware. A few seconds passed in stillness. Then she began chest compressions. Neera didn't have a medical degree, but she had watched enough, read enough, helped enough during her mom's rough nights to know how to fight for someone. Come on, she pleaded between compressions. "You're not dying in my diner." Outside, sirens wailed. Red and blue lights began dancing on the walls. Paramedics burst in, and in a flash they took over, stabilizing him, asking her questions, scribbling notes. One of them turned to her as they wheeled him out on a stretcher. "If you hadn't acted when you did, he might not have made it." Neera stood frozen at the threshold of the door, the rain misting her arms. She didn't even know his name. The morning after the storm, Neera arrived at Luna's with a strange mix of exhaustion and expectation. Her mind hadn't stopped racing. Who was that man? Was he all right? Had she done enough? She hadn't expected to find a letter waiting. It sat at the counter in an envelope with her name on it, Neera Solon, written in bold, elegant script. No return address. She stared at it for a long moment before opening it. "Dear Ms. Solon, the man you saved last night is alive because of you. His name is Cale Arden, and he is not who you think. He insisted that you be informed immediately, and that his gratitude be delivered without delay. Enclosed is a token of his thanks, and a message. I owe you everything. Meet me soon. St. Haven." Medical inside. The envelope was a small black velvet box. Neera blinked. Clara, the diner owner, leaned over the counter. "What is it?" Neera opened it slowly and gasped. Inside sat a delicate gold chain with a star-shaped sapphire, pendant glittering with impossible elegance. "That looks expensive," Clara whispered. Neera could only nod, stunned. Who was Cale Arden? Later that day, the answer arrived in the form of a black car. A sleek luxury vehicle pulled up to the curb outside Luna's diner. A driver stepped out in a dark suit, holding a folded letter. He entered and walked straight to Neera, his demeanor calm, practiced. "Miss Solon?" he asked in a clipped British accent. "Yes," she replied, heart thumping. "I've been sent by Mr. Arden. He has requested to meet with you personally. He also asked that I deliver this." He handed her the note, bowed slightly, and left as silently as he came. Neera unfolded the letter, her hands trembling. "Neera, you don't know me, but I know now that you saved me when you didn't have to. That kind of purity, that kind of courage, it's rare. So rare I almost stopped believing in it. I wasn't supposed to be there that night. I was walking away from everything I'd built. I wanted to disappear. Maybe I thought I deserved to. But then you appeared, and suddenly, I had a reason to stay. Come meet me. Please." Cale Neera folded the note against her chest. She had saved him from death. But maybe, just maybe, she had done something even more powerful. She had saved him from giving up. The sleek black car glided through the city like a shadow. Neera sat in the back seat, hands clenched in her lap. Her reflection stared back at her in the tinted window, nervous, uncertain, and wildly out of place in this world of marble buildings and silent chauffeurs. The driver pulled up to a quiet gated property. Ivy twisted up white columns. A fountain murmured in the courtyard. And there, waiting beneath the archway in a wheelchair, was Cale Arden. Neera's breath caught. He looked nothing like the broken man slumped in her diner booth. His dark hair was brushed back. He wore a soft gray sweater that made his silver-blue eyes appear almost unreal. But it wasn't his appearance that froze her. It was the look in his eyes, recognition, vulnerability, and something deeper. "Neera," he said softly, his voice gravelly, as if still recovering. She stepped closer, unsure. "I didn't think I'd see you again," he chuckled, wincing slightly. Neither did I. They stared at each other for a long moment, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them like fog. Cale broke the silence. "You sat beside a dying man, pressed your hands to his chest, begged him to stay. You didn't even know his name. But you didn't leave." "I couldn't," Neera replied. "You looked like you had already given up." "I had." His voice was barely audible. "I was ready to disappear, but then you dragged me back." Her throat tightened. "Why?" Cale looked away, staring out at the fountain. "Because I didn't think anyone cared anymore. Not really. Not without knowing what they could gain in return." Neera took a hesitant step closer. "Is that why you came to Luna's? To disappear?" He nodded. "It was supposed to be my last night. I shut off my phone, no security, no name. I didn't want to be Cale Arden anymore. I just wanted to vanish. But you didn't, because you didn't let me." Silence again, heavy, electric. Then he added, "You saved my life, Neera, and I want to give you a new one." She blinked. "What?" "I own a foundation, the Arden Trust. We fund research, education, humanitarian relief, but lately I've lost the heart for it. It became numbers on a spreadsheet. You reminded me what it's really for." He looked up directly into her eyes. "I want you to help me lead it. I want someone who knows how to fight for people, not because it's profitable, but because it's right." Neera stepped back, stunned. "You want me to work with you?" I want you beside me, in every meeting, every decision, full salary, your name on the next building. If you say yes, your life changes today." Neera shook her head slowly, almost laughing in disbelief. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," he said. "I know that you didn't hesitate when it mattered most. That makes you rare, and I don't want to waste that." She hesitated, then whispered, "What if I'm not enough?" Cale smiled, soft, real. "You were enough to bring me back from the edge." A week later, Neera walked through the glass doors of the Arden Trust for the first time. The building was pristine, white marble, art-lined walls, buzzing with quiet energy. She had a private office, a title, a team. She wore a blazer someone had picked out for her and heels that clicked on the tile like they belonged there. But still, she felt like a girl from a diner, clutching a tray full of someone else's life. Cale watched her closely over the next few days, quietly encouraging. They worked together, reviewing proposals, approving grants, meeting patients, and with every passing hour, something shifted between them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting gold across the office windows, Neera found Cale staring out into the city. "You never told me what happened," she said gently. "He didn't turn around. To you," she added. "Before the diner. Before everything." He was quiet for a long time. Then, in a hushed voice, he said, "I was diagnosed with a rare neurovascular condition 2 years ago. No cure, no timeline. It affects my balance, my cognition, and sometimes my will to keep going." Neera stepped. Closer, heart heavy. "I built a billion-dollar company, had private jets, world tours, rooms full of people calling me a genius. But when I got sick, most of them disappeared, or worse. Started circling like vultures." He looked at her now. "I didn't want pity, or press, or another sterile hospital room. I just wanted peace. I didn't care if it was final." "But now?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Now, I care. Because of you." Emotion rose in Neera's throat. "You don't owe me anything, Cale." "I know," he said, "but I want to give you something." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. "This belonged to my mother. She was a nurse. She kept stories of people she helped, people who changed her, even when she was the one doing the saving." He handed it to Neera. "Now I want you to fill it. With names, faces, people we've saved together. Let it be our story now." Neera clutched the notebook to her chest, her eyes stinging. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "For me?" Cale's voice was barely above a breath. "Because I think I've been waiting my whole life to meet someone like you." The city shimmered beneath the night sky as Neera stepped out of the car. Her heart raced. Tonight wasn't just another business meeting, it was dinner with Cale Arden, the man whose life she saved, and the man who, slowly, was changing hers. He'd sent a handwritten note that morning. "Come to the terrace. No agenda, no titles. Just you and me." Cale, she wore a simple navy dress, nothing expensive, but something that made her feel like herself. Her fingers fidgeted with the small sapphire pendant around her neck, the one he'd gifted her days ago. The rooftop was lit with soft golden lanterns. A small round table sat beneath a canopy of string lights. The scent of jasmine floated on, the breeze. And there he was. Cale stood with the help of a cane, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, looking far healthier than when she'd first found him slumped in that booth. "You came," he said, a smile tugging at his lips. "I wasn't sure if I should," she admitted. "This feels like something out of a storybook." He gestured toward the table. "Let's write the next page, then." As the meal began, grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, delicate glasses of white wine, Neera couldn't stop the questions, swirling inside her. Finally, she asked, "Why me?" Cale set down his fork, looking at her steadily. I've spent years surrounded by people who smiled at my success, but never saw my soul. Then you walked into my life. Well, I suppose I collapsed. Into yours? And for the first time, someone cared without knowing what I had. I didn't do it for a reward, Cale. I know. That's exactly why you deserve one. She took a slow breath. This whole thing still doesn't feel real. The office, the necklace, the private cars, it's like I'm pretending. Reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers gently. You're not pretending, Neera. You're rising. Her throat tightened. But what if I fall? Then I'll be the one who catches you, he whispered. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, the distance between them didn't feel impossible. It felt like a bridge being built, plank by plank, on trust. A moment passed. Then Cale said softly, I want to tell you something I haven't told anyone. She leaned in. The night I came into Luna's, I'd left a letter in my apartment. A goodbye letter. Her stomach dropped. I'd written it days before, but I hadn't mailed it yet. It was addressed to my lawyer, my will, my final wishes, everything tied up in a single envelope. Neera's hands gripped the edge of the table. I was ready, he said, until you put your hands on my chest and told me not to give up. You were a stranger, and yet, your voice was the only one I believed. Tears filled her eyes. You were never alone, Cale. You just didn't see the ones who still believed in you. He nodded, swallowing hard. Now I do. And under the stars, two strangers who'd saved each other without knowing how or why sat in quiet understanding. No longer lost, no longer alone. 3 days later, Neera received a phone call that would shake her world again. It came from a woman named Vera, Cale's personal legal advisor. I thought you should know, she said, her voice clipped but respectful, that Cale has amended his will and listed you as his medical proxy and personal beneficiary. Neera nearly dropped the phone. I didn't ask for that. I'm aware. He said you'd protest. But he was very firm. He trusts no one more. After the call, Neera went straight to his penthouse. She didn't wait for the elevator. She took the stairs, 7 flights, fueled by emotion. When she burst through the door, Cale was sitting at his piano playing a soft melody she didn't recognize. He turned, surprised. You made changes to your will? She asked, breathless. Yes. Why? Her voice cracked. Why would you do that? I didn't save your life to be put in your will like I'm part of your estate. He stood leaning on his cane. Neera, I'm not a charity case. I'm not someone you need to thank with money. You think this is about money? His voice rose, rare for him. Then what is it about? She asked, tears threatening to fall. Because from where I stand, it feels like I stepped into your life for 1 second and suddenly everything's changing too fast. Cale's expression softened. You did step into my life. And yes, everything is changing. Because for the first time in years, I feel like I have someone to live for. Her chest tightened. I didn't change my will because I pity you, he continued. I changed it because if anything ever happened to me, I'd want you to have a future. I'd want your dreams funded, your voice heard, your courage remembered. She looked at him, silent. And maybe, he added more quietly, I did it because I'm terrified of losing you. The walls around her heart, carefully built brick by brick over years of disappointment, shook at those words. She walked slowly toward him. You're not going to lose me, she whispered. But I need to know this is real. That I'm not just a nursemaid to a dying billionaire or a symbol in a redemption story. You're not, he said, his voice trembling. You're Neera. And you're the only thing in my life that doesn't feel like it's slipping away. The silence that followed was sacred. Then he reached for the photo frame on the piano. Inside was a black and white picture of a young boy with a woman, smiling, arms around each other, in a small garden. "My mother," he said. "She used to play this piano every morning before work. She believed healing came through touch and music." "She sounds like someone I would have loved," Neera murmured. "She would have loved you." He turned the photo over. The back was cracked. A tiny note was taped to it, in faded ink. "Give to someone who reminds you that life is worth playing for." Cale held it out to her. "I think it belongs to you now." Neera took the frame, cradling it with a reverence she didn't expect. Her tears finally fell, but they weren't tears of grief. They were the tears of someone who realized she wasn't invisible anymore. A week later, Neera arrived at Cale's penthouse after a board meeting. The sun was low, casting golden streaks across the marble floor. But something was off. The room was quiet. Too quiet. She found a sealed envelope on the piano. Her name was written in Cale's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Neera, if you're reading this, it means the time has come for me to step away. Temporarily, I hope. My doctors discovered an aneurysm that cannot be delayed. I didn't want to burden you with the surgery, with the worry. You've already given me more than I deserved. Hope, purpose, something real. If I make it, I'll find my way back to you. If I don't, know this. You saved my life in more ways than one. You didn't just stop my heart from failing. You reminded it how to love again. My final gift to you is freedom. No obligations, no promises, just the life I saw in you the moment you refused to let me die." Neera's heart split wide open. Days passed. Silence. She called every hospital. No answers. She cried at night into the pillow Cale had once rested his head against. The office felt empty, the world heavier. And then, on a rainy Thursday morning, he walked through the doors of the foundation, pale, leaning on a cane, but smiling. "Did you miss me?" he whispered. Neera froze, then rushed to him, sobbing into his chest. "I thought I lost you," she said over and over. "You didn't," he whispered. "I found my way back, just like I promised." He cupped her face, thumb brushing her tears. "And now, I'm never leaving again." Weeks passed. Recovery was slow, but they faced it together, one day at a time. One afternoon, as they watched, the sun set over the city skyline. Cale took her hand. "I don't want to just give you a new life, Neera," he said gently. "I want to build one with you." She smiled, tears welling up again, but this time from joy. "You already have." They stood together, two people who had nothing, and then found everything in each other, not because they were perfect, but because they chose to stay when it mattered most.